Hello, Luke. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. A bit excited, a bit nervous for this first episode.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good series to start off with. I think it'll grab your audience's attention quite well.
Yeah, hopefully. So before we get started, tell me a bit about yourself.
So I'm 22 years old. Um, as you can tell by the name Spiral Freerun, I specialize in parkour and freerunning. So that's something that I've been doing since I was about 14. I've always kind of got the dates a little bit confused. Sometimes I think I've been training for 10 years and I look back at footage and I can only find footage from about 8 years ago. So I'm going to say somewhere between 8 and 10 years of training. And ever since I started, I've basically never looked back.
Awesome, man. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, and they're amazing.
Yeah, just slowly progressing day by day.
Yeah, so talk to me about Spiral Freerun. So you've been training for the last like 8 to 10 years. So when
Yeah.
did you start Spiral Freerun?
So it started off basically I was one of the only like free runners in Bedford. There was loads of other people before me. So there was someone called Tom Ireland, and obviously there was Omar Jackson, who's now in Spiral Freerun, Ben Russell, and a couple of other lads who some of them I do know, some of them I don't know. And they kind of just dropped off the face. They were known as these guys who just went around and doing flips and stuff. And I was always like really intrigued by it, but I never actually saw them in person. And then one day my mum showed me a video, and that basically got me hooked. So when I started training outside, naturally I was looking for people to train with. So as I kind of met different people around Bedford, some who I went to school with, some who I just met outside having a laugh, I tried to teach them some things. And then that's basically how Spiral Freerun started. It actually wasn't called Spiral Freerun at first. It was called Team Air Monkeys.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Glad
Yeah.
you changed the name, mate.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know why I'm never really a massive fan of the name. It has kind of like a childish ring to me, but I can't take full credit because one of the boys who was in the team at the time, they actually did help with kind of the design of the logo and the name and stuff like that. But yeah, since then it's just evolved kind of into what it is now.
Amazing. So what sort of stuff do you do now?
So we specialise in parkour and free running coaching. We do that at the Trinity Arts and Leisure Centre, which is located on Bromham Road. We do that weekly. Obviously, we have no lessons on at the minute due to the current situation in the UK, but we're looking forward to coming back. Our lessons are on a Wednesday and a Thursday. As well as doing parkour coaching, we do performances, birthday parties, and we have our own clothing line as well.
Oh, amazing. Okay, cool. So in terms of like recruiting staff or recruiting clients, how would you go about doing that?
It is really, really difficult. I think more so recruiting staff than recruiting clients, because if you've got something, someone is always interested in something. So no matter what you do, you will capture someone's attention. It's just diverting it into the right place. However, recruiting staff is a lot harder, especially if you have something niche like myself. I can't just go and pick anyone up off the street and say, come and teach parkour with me. There's a lot of requirements for them to actually be able to, be a teacher and be in the group. But one of the tips that I would say is just pick a focus, stick with it, and just drive at it, and don't be afraid to like target certain people. So obviously social media is so powerful, like everyone in the world uses it, so don't be afraid to like tag famous people or tag people who are specialists in the area, because obviously then more people will see your stuff, and it's all about sharing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've had like sort of, obviously at the beginning I mentioned that I'm starting Bees Media, and it's just getting the traction going, which I'm finding difficult at the moment. I know I'm only beginning, but it's just the traction that I'm finding difficult to do at the moment.
One of the weirdest things, which I never really thought would be the case, is that you'll actually get more support from the people that you least expect. I have loads and loads of friends who I've been really, really close with for a long time. Some of them, they don't ever talk to me about it, which I'm not expecting them to. Everyone has their own life. But the people that I don't expect to then congratulate me on the things that I've achieved and support me for the things I do, they're popping up and saying, yo, this is sick, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, I did not expect it from these type of people. And I think that's what means more, because sometimes when like your really close mates say something, you don't know whether they're telling the whole truth or they're just doing it to kind of please you. But if it's coming from someone that you're not really familiar with, then it means a lot.
Yeah, no, I guess I guess that makes sense, because they're not invested in it as much as friends or family are,
and they're not going to get anything out of saying that you're doing good, as where if your mum or dad says that you're rubbish, they're going to catch your right hand.
Yeah, definitely. I'd just like to quickly touch on like your time management. sort of skills. Because I know you do other stuff as well. How do you manage managing Spiral Freerun and then doing all the other stuff that you do, like training? I know you do, for example.
Poorly. It depends, obviously. It depends on what kind of things that we're talking about. If we're talking about managing things like work as well as personal life and stuff like that, it is difficult. It's just something that you have to kind of just bite the bullet and get on and do. You know, no one's going to do anything for you. Yeah. So you need to be able to do it for yourself, basically. So when I was at university, I held down 3 jobs as well as starting my own business. So I think that has had a massive part in it. I've always been kind of OCD with things in terms of, if I say I'm going to do something, I feel like I need to do it.
Yeah, follow it through.
If I don't, then I feel like I've not only failed myself, but if I've actually expressed it out loud, I've failed whoever I've said it to and whoever's seen it. Yeah. You know, there's, like I said, going back to social media, there's so many things that you can use with that. So there's so many apps that you can do to make your life easier. So just simple things like calendars. When I'm in my work mode, which I'm currently not now, I'll usually have like a calendar with stuff written down on, or I'll have like a planner, like a physical paper planner, and then I can carry that around with me. Setting alarms. If you know you need to do stuff and you know you probably won't do it just by saying, yeah, I should probably do this, set an alarm. Because something physical actually alerting you saying, right, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, it's hard to ignore.
Yeah, no,
so
sorry, carry on.
No, that was it. They're just a couple of things that I'd use.
Okay, I was just going to say, like, the physical act of setting an alarm, I find that reminds me, because I'm reminding myself that I've set an alarm.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I've got to do that.
Like, writing it down definitely does help, but it's like you have to then physically look at what you've written down. So that's kind of catch-22. Like me, I've got a memory like a sieve, as my mum would say. So things go in and they come straight back out. So if I write something down, sweet, but then where did I put the paper? So yeah, I find that things like an alarm, something physical, is probably the most beneficial thing for me.
It always helps, yeah. So how do you, in terms of like money and budgeting, how would you allocate certain pots of money to certain things?
It's always been difficult because, I mean, I've never had any experience in business. You know, I know friends who have taken GCSE business or A-level business or whatever, and now they're clearly Alan Shearer. But Alan Shearer. Who is it? Alan, what's his name?
Sugar.
Alan Sugar, there you go. You can tell I don't watch his stuff. I have no interest in it.
Alan Shearer's a footballer.
Completely wrong person. So yeah, you can tell how much business knowledge I have. So it's hard because I've had to just figure stuff out. So a lot of it is learning through failures. So obviously, like when I first started the company, I was like allocating certain price packets to certain packages that we offer, and because some people hadn't heard of us, some people had, you know, they were trying to haggle with us saying, can you reduce your prices to this, blah, blah, blah. And I'd just accept it because I needed the work. It's kind of catch-22 again. You need the exposure to get the work, but then you need the work to get the exposure. So you sometimes have to kind of bite the bullet and let people take things for a reduced price or something like that. As I developed and as the business was getting more known, I was becoming more strict, and I was saying, I know my worth and I know what I am, you know, pricing my business at. So don't accept anything less. The main thing is you need to just look at your expenses and your income, and create an average and see where your money's at, and see what your like kind of most valuable source of income is, and then just bracket it off from there. So say if you earn like £1,000, you could say, you know, like £250 of that would be spent on staff, £200 would be spent on marketing, for example, and you get the point.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, because I think I relate to this because I'm starting this. I've got no formal qualifications either. Yeah. Just like yourself. Do you regret not doing that at school or at college? Like not doing like a business course?
No, because I don't really think it's all that applicable. I think some of it is, but I think a lot of it isn't, because the way that I see myself now, obviously, I'm in a position where I am running the business, but I'd like to see myself in maybe 10 years time where I'm not the forefront of the business. People are running it for me and I'm overseeing that and I have the final say. So I don't think it's all that important. You just have to be willing to learn and willing to take on advice from other people. Motivated. That's the hardest thing, because if you've got so much going on and you know that you need to do actual things, like you have tasks you need to do, then saying to myself, okay, I need to actually learn how to do this is probably harder than actually getting up and doing what you need to. So yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. So how do you like when you're switching from one mindset to another? So say if you're training in 8 o'clock from 9 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock you've got like a business meeting about expenditure, for example. How would you like switch from one mindset to the other? Is there technique you use? Because that's what I find hard at the moment.
I don't think so. I think it's just about experience and how confident you are. I've always been the type of person who's been like okay talking to anyone and everyone. So I could go to work and teach kids, and then straight away I could go out and talk to teachers, or I could deliver an assembly to kids, and then I can go out and talk to teachers about more professional things. I could talk with people of older ages and help teach them things, and I can get advice from people who are younger than me. It's about not kind of categorizing anyone, and it's just about basically taking in as much information as you can and learning as much as you can, so that you don't even have to switch. It's just set in your brain. Yeah. And it's not a case of switching. It's just a case of thinking about what you're doing and just delivering.
Yeah, no, I sort of like when I was younger, I noticed like I had that skill that you just said where you can adapt to different people.
Yeah.
And I used to think that I was being a bit of a fraud and being a bit fake.
It's like you wouldn't go up to your nan and be like, yo, wagwan Nancy, what are you saying? But you'd go up to like your boy and be like, yo, bro, what's good? How you can change like that from person to person is very similar in the way that you deal with situations, whether it, going from 8 o'clock training to then 10 o'clock, I'm doing a business meeting. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Because that was one of the things I was not worried about, but like just switching from mindset to mindset. But yeah, I'm glad you've used that. So I'm glad I've got the skills that you've just said to help me on my way to do that.
I mean, certain people might have a certain way to do something. For me, it's just being chilled. If I'm really tense and like aggravated about a situation, if I'm like, oh my God, I'm training now, but I know in like an hour's time I need to do this, 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 and this, I'm going to be like, whoa, what is going on? As well, if I don't even think about it, I just go ahead and do it, then it's probably going to be better off and more natural.
So what is in terms of like Spiral Freerun, what's your motivation for it? What's driving you to go higher and higher?
I think the main thing is when I was a kid, and I know every single person who watches this will relate. They're like, I want to be a footballer, or I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a cop. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a basketball player. At one point, I even turned around and said to my mum, I want to be a basketball playing, like police officer, lawyer, or something like that. All three in one. Like I even knew what any of those entailed. But as you get older and you kind of go through your GCSEs and you go through your A levels, and then teachers are like, right, what are you doing after this? And you're like, well, I don't know. It kind of makes you think. And I didn't have anything to fall back on. I said I wanted to be this, and half of those things I didn't like. So I was like, well, I found something that I do actually like, and that's kind of the drive. I don't see the point in doing a job just to earn money, because realistically we work probably 80% of our life. Most people, they work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, for example. Now, that 5 o'clock to maybe 10 o'clock when you go to bed is the only hours that you have to do what you want to do. So that's 5 hours where you get to be happy. So if you're spending the other 8 hours in work being unhappy, you're spending more proportion of your life unhappy compared to being happy. So I would rather have a job which makes me happy and that I'm good at and that I enjoy than doing something just for money. And I think that's my drive personally. I don't really think I'll find anything else that I'll enjoy. So that's why I'm pursuing this.
Yeah, no, you're right. One of the things you just said, where I've just picked up on, is like when you were back in school, the rule was you either go lawyer or what. But there's no one. I can't remember in my school, definitely, but no one said you could be a business owner or be an entrepreneur.
No, nobody mentions it. If you had said to me years ago, you're going to have your own business, I'd be like, what are you on about? No, I'm absolutely not. I can barely look after myself, let alone look after my business. Like,
So I think obviously we're not going to go into like how the school systems run, but I think that's definitely an area like teaching entrepreneurship and teaching how to do taxes and teaching how to like change a tire in a car, just those are simple like life skills.
I've always said one of the biggest things which I wish that schools did was taxes, because obviously when you own your own business, you're self-employed, and like my first main job, I was self-employed, and it was only until I was about 2 years into the job where I was told that I actually need to do taxes, and I was like, taxes, what's that? I thought that just comes out your wage automatically. So then I realized the implications if you don't do this stuff and don't do it properly, and I was like, wow, this is actually important, but instead I'm learning about vectors and whether Polly's got 5 bananas and Sarah's got 7 oranges. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, 100%. I think the education system is failed, or partially flawed, I should say, not failed.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's amazing. I think I'm going to end it there, but we always end it with some quick fire questions.
Okay.
So, what advice would you give a young Luke Brown?
I'd say just don't be afraid to go ahead and do whatever it is you want to do. Don't sit back and think about the consequences too much. Don't dwell on them, and don't let the consequences be driving forces for not going ahead and doing something.
Awesome. And given the choice of 3 people, dead or alive, who would you have as a dinner guest and why?
Oh my goodness, as a dinner guest and why?
Yeah.
I think one of them is going to be Tim Sheaf. If you're a free runner, you'll know about this dude. Very interesting guy. If you don't know about him, go ahead and do some research on him.
What was his name again? Sorry.
Tim Sheaf.
Tim Sheaf. Okay.
Basically, a free runner who was absolutely amazing, world champion, dropped off the face of the earth, stopped free running, went vegan for about 8 years, and then came back to basically say that he had a wet dream after eating a fish once, and now he's no longer vegan. I've got a couple of questions for that dude. So
yeah,
that's definitely one. I think another one is someone like Michael Jackson. I'd just like to see, obviously he must have had things go on in his life, which is why he did the things that he did, supposedly. So I think it'd just be good to see his side of the story. And then the last one, I can't think of anyone in particular, but like someone from a long, long, long time ago, like Henry VIII or something, and just see what life was like.
Oh, cool. And last one, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? I know you said earlier that you wanted, to oversee the business and not like do control, but where do you see yourself ultimately in 2030?
I'd like I said, obviously, to not have total control of the business, but I'd like to have my own gym. That's always been the goal for this. I want to have my own gym and where I can do parkour classes and all the services that I currently offer. So I think if I was to say have my own gym and be comfortable, have someone running the ship for me, and then me just overseeing and just making sure that the business stays true to what, I originally set it out for.
Perfect. And I think that's a perfect way to end. Thank you so much, Luke.
No worries, bro.
Cheers. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening to the first ever podcast of Beans Media. If you enjoyed listening, please subscribe or follow. I promise I'll be super grateful. And if you're feeling kind, please leave a review. A massive thank you to everyone at Beans Media for their help. Make sure you keep an eye on their socials for details of the next episode. Bye-bye.